I always loved eating meat, but I was a consumer. I didn't grow up in agriculture. I grew up in a city of 5 million people. I didn't know which cuts to choose. I didn't really know how to cook it. So I kind of just ate it out at restaurants and didn't really feel that empowerment to do it at home. And coming to Texas for the first time and eating barbecue was my first experience of, oh my God, what did I just eat? This is amazing. Then I wanted to learn more about how it was made, and I wanted to learn how it was cooked, and falling down that rabbit hole.
Welcome to MeatsPad, a platform dedicated to sharing breakthrough knowledge that is accessible to the meats industry. On each episode, we will hear from meat specialists and professionals to talk about numerous topics in meat science. This podcast is brought to you by the U.S. Meat Export Federation, the Niche Meat Processor Assistance Network, Ultrasource, the new standard for innovation. FiscoFan is a global leader and innovative partner in the food industry who provides solutions for the casing market.
IFA, slaughter and meat processing tools.
Hello, meat folks. Welcome back to the MeatsPad podcast. Today, we have a star on our podcast. We have a influencer, Jess Pryles. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's nice to be here.
So we've been doing was it last year that I tell you, hey, I want to have something, have you on the podcast to talk about what you do. And I think it's a very unique profile that you have. You're from Australia, correct?
I am. I'm originally from Australia. The accent kind of gives it away. But I do say y'all now, so.
Okay. And you live in Texas now?
I live in Texas now, yes.
Okay. Why do you choose United States?
I had visited Texas, which is where the story starts. The very, very short story is I always loved eating meat, but I was a consumer. I didn't grow up in agriculture. I grew up in a city of 5 million people. I didn't know which cuts to choose. I didn't really know how to cook it. So I kind of just ate it out at restaurants and didn't really feel that empowerment to do it at home. And coming to Texas for the first time and eating barbecue was my first experience of, oh my God, what did I just eat? This is amazing. Then I wanted to learn more about how it was made, and I wanted to learn how it was cooked, and falling down that rabbit hole, I went back to Australia and bought a brisket, which looked nothing like an American packer brisket because it was a British style, like completely trimmed flat. And I couldn't, as a layperson, understand how I could ask for something that had the same name and get something so different. And that was the catalyst to figuring out more why was it different, and learning about breeds and feeds and butchery. And so eventually I kept traveling back to Texas to learn more about barbecue, and eventually just sort of fell in love with the lifestyle there and decided that it was time to move. Australia is a beautiful country, but it's the whole population is the same as the state of Texas, so it's quite small.
You recently went to Mexico, right? And experience, you go down there a lot, experience the food and the culture. And I want to get to that here in a minute. But for some of you that are in the meat science community and you don't know what you do, so I'm just going to briefly explain. So you have an Instagram and account and TikTok, on social media in general.
Yes. And
I think I want to talk about the influence of an influencer on people's choice, especially in food. And nowadays, as the meat, like there's a lot of hate. And I like what you do to. There's a lot of myths and a lot of posts that don't have any fundamentals, any scientific background. I think you going beyond is like, okay, I want to learn more about meat science. I'm going to get a meat science graduate certificate and have that background to respond back to those consumers and those folks. I don't want to call haters, but people that are going against the meat industry. And I want to use this as a successful example of someone whose passion is meat, but also understanding the science behind it to promote it and educate the consumers.
I'd already sort of ended up in a position where, because I was sharing recipes, I was gaining a large online following, and then I was naturally starting to talk about other things that I'd discovered on the way, like, oh, it's not blood, it's myoglobin, and little things that even lay people can figure out. And people were really responding well, and to those little tidbits of information, but they were also really fascinating to me. I didn't know this the whole time. And there's a lot of distrust built into consumers because we are brought up to think that the industry is doing something nefarious rather, so you're starting from a place where you have to convince people who aren't brought up in ag that we're doing this because we need to feed the world, and the welfare of animals is exceptionally important to the industry. So as I moved through that journey, sharing that sort of information, I found myself more and more wanting to talk about the science aspects. I did a short course at A&M, just Beef 101 and 706. And I remember when Dr. Griffin first rolled a carcass into the classroom, and I thought, I wish I knew that this had existed. Like, I didn't even know that you could do meat science. And in fact, many of my followers comment like, meat science is a thing. And it got to the point where I wanted to, one, make sure that I was disseminating correct information. But two, I wanted to have expertise in the subject that I was talking about, not just be another person online who thinks they know everything. And I went out and looked for some kind of university or college program that I could do, but I knew that it would have to be online because, I also have a company called Hardcore Carnivore. That's a full-time job. I'm an influencer creator. That's a full-time job, and I do speaking events and what have you. And I knew that I couldn't uproot my life to go back to college at this late stage, but I did want that further education. And I ended up finding Iowa State University had just launched a meat science graduate certificate specifically designed for people who were in the meat industry, perhaps in another role, who needed a little bit more expertise to either open up their job opportunities into different roles. So it was 100% built for what I was looking for, and I applied for it and had to get exemptions because I had a degree in communications, which is not science-based. So I had to have the graduate college consider my life experience as being some kind of qualification for it. And luckily I was accepted, and it's been a tremendous honor actually because I come to a conference like RMC and I'm in awe of people who have spent so much of their lives dedicated to learning and education and research. And it's to be able to now walk amongst the crowd as a colleague is really significant to me.
So today, did you first time at RMC? Right?
No,
Second
I've been
time?
to RMC. Yeah, this is my third time at RMC.
Okay, third time.
Yeah. So I've been to RMCs before.
Not as a student.
Not as a student, just sort of talking about social media perspective. But, that was nearly 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So you learn so much. I've learned so much since then, and I've changed my angle since then. And now I feel like I can really contribute to the industry even more because you inadvertently become a meat advocate. If you go in to defend it. The biggest thing for me is this is how simple it is. I was someone who grew up wondering, what's really going on in the industry? What are they putting in our steaks? Not that I was thinking that, but you're just sort of taught to believe that there are additives and there's something. And it was just so liberating to find out what actually goes into meat and the care that meat scientists take to make our food safe, that it was just important for me to share that with other people. I'm just passionate about it.
The mission of USMEF is to increase the value and profitability of the U.S. beef, pork, and lamb industries by enhancing demand for their products in export markets through a dynamic partnership of all stakeholders. Simply put, USMEF is putting U.S. meat on the world's table. Since 1883, Ultrasource has been a trusted supplier to the food industry. Ultrasource provides superior kill floor, processing, packaging, and labeling equipment and operational supplies.
And I think that's our passion, because I think we share that passion. And we're talking with Dr. Baz yesterday about how sometimes, I include myself, sometimes the meat industry, I don't want to say tend to hide, but it's like, why don't you show what we do?
Yeah.
Like more, I don't know, Do you follow me? Like, for example.
Yeah, this is what my presentation's about. The industry has always been reactive, not proactive to things. And I think that some of it is a little bit because they've had their hand bitten before from extending it, by sort of fundamentalist animal rights activists. Yeah. And part of it is also that there are some, it is a business. So especially on vertically integrated proteins, there's some trade secrets that need to be kept there. And then it looks like there's an industry. It looks like the industry is trying to be secretive for reasons that aren't really there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Tell me, this is off the topic, but one of the weirdest things that you have to respond to, like on social media, like some random questions on a topic, like, no. I know because I've seen some of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe you have a fun story that you want to tell.
I see a couple of different things. So I go out and look for videos that I can respond to sometimes as well to maybe help people out. You see a lot of stuff about persistent pinking, people posting McDonald's burgers saying like, ew, it's raw. And then it blows up because people want a reason to hate. I had a woman the other day who had bought thin cut bone-in pork chops and was scratching her fingernail across the back of the membrane saying, look at this. This is plastic. They're using plastic in the bones. It's not even a real animal. Like crazy, crazy stuff. Someone else who was separating a pork chop from the rib meat saying that it was meat glue because she couldn't understand how two muscles come together. So I love answering those sorts of videos with the real reason behind all that. Sometimes I guess in the barbecue nerd world, it goes more into the food science. I think in some ways I do see a lot of nearly confirmation bias too, which is quite interesting, where people will try and make it fit because they want to have this secret to cooking the perfect brisket. So for example, I often like to talk about wet aging and how there's no point in wet aging a brisket if you're going to cook it till tender anyway. Yeah. It's not the idea of it. And I can present all of the logic and facts behind it, but someone's going to say, no, I swear it makes it different. It makes mine better, because they want to feel like something that they are doing is making a difference to their food,
Tell me about Mexico. And I think I like not only Mexico, but just culturally speaking, how important it is to travel. And I know you went down there, you posted a lot of good pictures and videos of food.
Yes.
And I don't know, but maybe for some folks that have never been or out of America.
Yeah.
So how was that experience going to different countries, getting to know how the meat is merchandised differently compared to the States? I don't know. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's really important to travel just as a human being so that we're aware of other people's life experiences and get outside of our little shell. I love being so close to Mexico and Texas. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And you can't just dismiss it as one country, because you can go to so many different regions and areas, and the cuisine is different and the cuts are different and the way they use chilies is slightly different. It's not Senor Frog's nacho plate. And it's been really interesting, especially to see a culture that celebrates the secondary cuts. I was at a conference a few weeks ago and the Mexican Beef Export Federation was there, and they said, it's funny because we sell all of our ribeyes back to America because no one in Mexico wants them. It's not the type of beef that we eat. It's not how we use them. And it's such an interesting study in how an entire culture can take a tough secondary cut and turn it into something incredible. So me and my husband love going and exploring much more of the cultural areas than, Cancun and Cabo.
Right.
And we eat at the markets, and we haven't been that sick yet, so that's exciting.
Okay. That sick yet, so we call it. So I don't know if you know this, but we have a saying.
Oh yeah, Montezuma's Revenge.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you heard of that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've gotten it before, but it was worth it.
For those folks that don't know what that is, so it's when someone, primarily from United States or Europe, who have never been exposed to street tacos or or things that it's handmade, maybe not following the best GMPs.
Yes.
Sometimes you can get sick, and that's what the Moctezuma revenge.
Yeah,
is
but the
implying.
interesting part is that it doesn't make the locals sick, and I think that that's something to just consider about resilience and resistance.
You're
and
immune.
Immunity, yeah. So, but it's worth it. The most interesting thing to me so far has been cecina, which down in Puebla is a top round. I know it's different everywhere. Cecina in Sonora is more like jerky, but just cut extremely thin. And even the knife work on that is incredible. And then they cover it in butter and lay it in the sun for a day, which immediately is probably going to make a lot of your listeners.
Alert.
Yeah, exactly. But it develops that sort of warmed over, that start of rancidity that's actually a flavor profile. And then it's cooked, it's grilled so aggressively anyway that it's ultimately actually safe to eat and delicious,
And you had mole. Well, when I saw
course.
that picture, so off the record, mole is my favorite meal in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw your picture, I'm jealous that I'm not down there and have mole.
That was amazing. And that was a peanut mole, that one, which was very different, peanut and morita. And so it nearly reminded me of Indonesian satay sauce, which also uses peanuts. And again, that's the importance of traveling, that you get to have all these flavors and experiences and see how people put food together. So there's a lot more places in Mexico that I want to go and explore. And even understanding how to use the chilies correctly when I come back to my own kitchen makes me a better cook too.
Well, yes, I think I openly tell you, like, whenever you want to use or interview someone that I want to interview that person, I think we can help you with that. We just we want to use this platform as something to uncover some of those myths that people, because it's a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And in this era, this digital media era, I think we have to do that for the meat industry, for ourselves, for what we're doing, defend or fight back to all that community that is against the meat industry. And I think this is a good way. What you do is amazing. Thank you a lot for what you do. And I know you have any last comments or thoughts on this, but we're almost ready to wrap up.
Well, look, I think this is the message. I think sometimes that we're taught to stay silent, to not rock the boat. I was in a social situation the other day where it was, 6 couples out to dinner and we didn't know one of the couples, and the woman turned around to me and sort of heard what I did for a living and said, "Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I used to eat beef, but it used to make me really sick. And then I discovered grass-fed beef and it doesn't have any of the junk and the nitrates in it. And I can eat it now." Wow. And I know people can't see the face you just made, but I made a similar face internally, and I thought, well, I can't say anything because I'm in this social situation and it's going to be awkward to try and correct her. But I think that on a broader level, and especially online, there's a responsibility to not be silent just for the sake of being appropriate or socially responsible, because there's something more echoing about the silence. So I think that there's a way that you can make your case and use your voice. You don't have to be offensive to people. Sometimes my posts get a little bit, I'm making fun of people in some of them, but you don't have to do it that way. But it is important to speak, because everyone that I've met in this industry, from the people who raise the animals through to the people who are boning carcasses and everywhere along the way, are proud of what they do, believe in what they do, and don't have anything to hide. And the more that we can share that, I think that's the key to winning back some consumer trust, to get your side of the argument out there as a proactive rather than reactive response.
That's a good quote. I like that quote.
Thank you. Y'all can use that.
100% agree. And thank you again for joining us today. And hopefully we do more stuff against that community.
I'd love to.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.